Hi, I'm Peter Marsh, and this is another Aether In ATX video. I am stuck inside because of the ice outside in Texas, and you're probably hearing my dryer going right now, so this makes for a quality YouTube experience. It's been a little while since I made my last video, but I wanted to talk about two comments that I got. Now, I have no illusions whatsoever. I am grateful that anyone watches videos on this channel. I have 3 YouTube channels. I have this channel, I have the Lastercast where me and my friend Danny discuss horror movies and streaming shows, and I have Comic Books Transformed where me and my friend Brian talk about comics that have been adapted into movies and streaming shows. So I don't sit here thinking, oh, my YouTube channels are going to blow up and I'm going to be this famous person or I'm going to get monetized and make money. I just basically make videos as an excuse to talk to my friends and talk about movies, which is very important to me. And then I make videos like this because it's almost like a form of journaling. I feel like I have to, or that I want to, take the revelations that I've come up with on my own and share them with people. So this goes along with one of the comments that I got the other day. There was this excellent comment, like 2 paragraphs worth, and I think it was actually from this guy that's in this one manifesting group that I've joined but haven't really been participating in. And he ended that comment by saying, you have to ask yourself, why do you make these videos? And I think that inherently we all just want to create in some form. We all want to make something to feel like we've accomplished something, to feel a sense of pride. You know, I made this. And for every different person, it's a different experience, right? The easiest one would be to think about writing. You write a story, you've now taken what's in your mind, you've put it onto paper, and now someone else can read it and experience it. So I do write, but I don't share my writing because honestly I need to finish what I'm writing and I don't have a completed novel ready to show you or a comic that's been made out of one of my scripts. I am working on that, but I don't have that right now to share with you. I do have years of experience making recordings like this, or making recordings where I discuss movies and TV shows, so I think that making this just is a way to use skills I've developed and create something. And I know that like this isn't edited. I know that I'm not reading off of a script that I wrote. It's very off the cuff, but I have made things this way and I enjoy making this kind of stuff. So that answers that guy's question. The other comment was someone that was saying, I don't know why this showed up in my feed. I watched it. It's like 10 minutes long and it doesn't really say anything. And he said, I was so bored after 3 minutes in. I was thinking to myself, well, thank you for watching the entire video, even though you didn't like it. But I understand why that guy was bored. Because in that video, I was basically trying to take all this stuff that I've been thinking about, these big revelations, and I did this big preface where I was trying to say how it'd be impossible to communicate those thoughts accurately because of our limited means. So it was just basically a video explaining how I couldn't communicate the revelations that I'd had. And I understand how like 10 minutes of that, that could get boring. I'm not catering to this guy who like rudely left a comment like that, but I understand. It's really, really difficult when you are trying to take ideas in your head and effectively communicate them to other people. So today, I am just going to go all out. I'm just going to take the stuff that I've been thinking about recently and just share it with you. And then it'll sound crazy. It'll sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. Might even sound like nonsense a couple of times during this process. But I'm just being brave. I'm not going to talk about how difficult it is to communicate. Alright, so what's important is you need to know about the things that I label as the anchor state and the aether state. If you've watched this channel, then you know that I've used these terms many times. Just as a refresher, the anchor state is basically like low energy. It's where you are feeling really bad about yourself, you're feeling bad about your future, you feel shame, frustration, you feel stuck. That is the anchor state. The aether state is when you have this kind of sense of revelation, you feel sort of free from the world around you, you feel like there's so much potential, you feel like you could do anything. Anchor state, aether state. Now, I feel like And I keep making videos about this topic because I feel like this is the core, this is the source of it all, right? If you just allow this, consider that everything that you're experiencing right now in your 3D tangible world, everything that's going on, I'm just a guy on YouTube talking to you, sharing his thoughts. You're just a person watching this on your phone, watching this on your computer, whatever, right? All that is true. The stuff I'm going to say doesn't mean that that part is not true. That is the 3D tangible world. That's what's going on, and that is happening right now. But then there's more to it. There's what I've referred to in my videos as like the subconscious mind, your higher self. It's that part where you're able to generate imagery in your mind, and it is not necessarily something that you're experiencing right there in the moment in the 3D tangible world. You experience it in your dreams. You experience it when you imagine things. And every single thing that you're able to experience at this level is just based upon things that you've experienced in the 3D tangible world. So if I go to envision a new superhero that I've created, ultimately I'm taking imagery and sounds and everything from my senses in my own personal life where I have experienced superheroes, but I'm shaping it to make this new character. I can't make a brand new character from scratch, so I'm making a new character that feels new to me, but they're essentially just taking elements from other places and bringing it all together. So that is the imagination, right? And that's happening simultaneously. Like, my imagination exists, it's in real time, running at the same time as my senses in the 3D tangible world, right? They're happening at the same time. When you have some kind of like revelation, whether you're, on some kind of drug trip or you're doing meditation or some other means that makes it feel like there's more to the world, you're basically like getting out of your 3D tangible self and you're experiencing something bigger and you're seeing something bigger. But then when you stop meditating, when you sober up, when you come back, your 3D tangible senses, your sight, taste, touch, smell, hearing, those things are taking what you saw in your consciousness, this untangible thing, this intangible thing, and they're trying to make sense of it, right? So, it's just a dream, or it's just something that I imagined. That's what your senses are telling you. But you're able to kind of step out. You're still there. You're still tethered to your 3D tangible body, but you're able to experience more than your 3D tangible body, right? And all of it when you're sober and you're not meditating, you're not in some kind of higher state, you just get glimpses of it and you try to process it using your 3D tangible body. Now, I think that like people that suffer from mental illness or that have hallucinations or have these sort of like religious experiences, I think that there's something physically different about them, maybe the chemicals in their brain, that when they see this stuff, there's that blurring of the line where it's not these two separate distinct things. Oh, I'm seeing this in my imagination, or I'm seeing this in reality. It's just all there, right? And you're experiencing them simultaneously. And I do think that that is not intentionally what's supposed to happen in this experience, but I think it could like profoundly affect people. And obviously, like people with mental illness, it like profoundly affects their life, right? And I think that some of the things that we've experienced in our culture come from people having experiences like that and then being able to communicate those experiences to the rest of us. So now that we've established the Aether and the anchor state, and we've talked about consciousness and like a higher level of consciousness, then let's just talk about this grid, which, I started looking into the transurfing, reality transurfing. That's where they started talking about that we're on a grid, right? So the way that I picture it, this is where it's going to get really weird, and so you asked for it, right? I'm not beating around the bush this time. Just picture that you are the consciousness that is in the center of this space. And in the space that you're in, there is two threads that are complete, and they're looping around like this, and they're linked together, so essentially they form an infinity sign. And your consciousness is contained within that infinity sign. And it travels along one thread and then goes back and forth. Now, the directions on the thread, it'd be easy to say north, south, east, and west, right? But I don't want to think about up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west. I just want you to think your consciousness moving in different directions, moving towards specific energy. So your consciousness, when you're in the anchor state, you're worrying about the future. You're worrying about negative things that are to come, negative experiences that you're going to experience with your five senses. When you're in the anchor state, you think about your past and you think about the things that have happened to you, and you think about them with shame or guilt or anger, frustration. That's when you're moving towards the anchor state along that loop. Now, on the opposite, when you're going towards the Aether state, you're looking towards the future with a sense of wonder and excitement. What's going to happen next? What am I going to experience with my five senses next? Then you're looking at your past and you're feeling the sense of gratitude. Oh, I can't believe that these things happened to me. That was such a good experience, right? And what happens is the two sides contradict each other, right? When you're feeling that sense of like wonder and excitement about the future, then the anchor side is saying, yeah, but look, this happened in your past, right? And you go around the loop. You worry about the past, and then you think about, well, how can I change it? Oh, okay. And then you start thinking about negative things that might happen in the future, but then you start thinking about positive things that have happened in the past. Do you understand how it's like kind of going like this? Like it is like the infinity sign, and you're traveling along it. That imagery is so important to all the stuff that I talk about, right? Because I think about that infinity sign, and then I think about an image that I use in my own fantasy stories that has just always been evocative to me, which is the idea of like a tree, like, you know, Yggdrasil or whatever from Norse mythology, the tree of life or whatever. When you think about a tree, I saw this on a TikTok the other day. Like when you're drawing a tree, you basically draw the what do you call it? Not the root, but you know the center thing, right? The trunk. There we go. You draw the trunk, and then you draw two branches coming out. Then on each branch, you draw another trunk, and then you draw two branches, right? And you just keep drawing a tree on top of a tree on top of a tree until you have this gigantic tree going up. And then if you're going to draw the roots, it's the gigantic tree going down, right? It's like this mirror image. It's the same thing as the infinity sign, right? The tree going up, that's Aether, ascension. The roots going down, that's anchor, descension, right? And obviously like in the center, that's the line that cuts the two mirror images in half, right? Then with that image, you also have like the hourglass image, which the hourglass is kind of like an infinity sign just turned on its side. And basically one side at the top, you have all the Aether, everything is up high and positive, but it's slowly leaking down. The sand is leaking down in the hourglass, and then it's filling up the negative, the anchor sign, right? The anchor side, and it just flips over, and the cycle just repeats itself over and over again. All this stuff, like this imagery, the reason why it connects so well is because it's like metaphorical for what we're experiencing on a metaphysical level. And so I said that there were two threads, right? I said that one thread is making you go from the anchor state and back into the Aether state and back around, right? You're thinking about the past and the present. The past and the future on one side. You're thinking about the past and the future on the other side, right? It's a loop. Well, I said that there were two strings looping from each other, right? The other string is essentially your like neutral experience in the 3D tangible world. It's when you look at the world in not a negative anchor state and not a positive Aether state. It's just neutral. It's very hard to do because our emotions are always pulling us in either direction. But I like to think of that loop as in like it is going from you directly in front of you and then looping behind and then going back and like pushing you forward. So it's like these two loops intertwined, and this is your experience. Now, I feel like this explains the concept of time to people that are living in the 3D tangible world, because I think that what happens is you are always thinking about the experiences you're going to have in the future, whether they're going to be something connected to the anchor state or the Aether state, and you're always thinking about experiences that happened in the past. And so you're imagining them in both cases. They're not happening. You're just in the present, in the moment, but you're constantly imagining the future and remembering the past. And so that in itself creates the sense of time. I know that sounds kind of like the chicken and the egg, but you can't go back in time, right? If you're going back and forth between the Aether and the anchor states, you can't like go back to the past and relive something. So why is that? And my answer for that is that the you have to have this sense that you're going to have more experiences. That's why it's always moving forward. You can't have new experiences in the past. There has to be this idea that you're going to have more experiences in the future, right? So you have to have this sense of I'm going to experience more to keep going, to keep creating, right? Because there's the potential for more. And so that's why there's always this sense of moving forward, even though, you know, it's like, well, why can't we have the sense of going back in time? So, I don't know. I did it. I tried to explain all the stuff that's been going on in my mind. I think I'm going to throw in one last thing in here too. Every single thing that you interact with, and possibly every single person that you interact with, is completely neutral. And you make the choice whether the thing that you're interacting with is going to have like a negative charge, like the anchor state, or a positive charge like the Aether state. Or you can make it just completely neutral. And I think the most difficult thing is to make things just neutral in general. Because I think automatically with our emotions, you automatically start putting them in that anchor state or that Aether state. So, I mean, how is this applicable? How does this, does this matter at all? You know, is this just some guy on his couch rambling? Probably. But I think that when you realize that you make the choice where to put your energy and you make the choice on what to focus on, then you do actually shape your reality around you. Now, I know that concept, and this is me, I'm trying to make this consumable by everyone that might watch this, right? Because in my mind it makes sense, but I'm like, oh, this is going to be dismissed by people. But like, the obvious thing is, well, I want to change my reality. I focus on it. I try to do things mentally, and then my reality stays the same. I get that, and that makes a lot of sense, right? But what happens is, it's not necessarily that you change reality like a magician where you do some kind of spell and something physically changes from one to the other. What happens instead is that when you change your perspective on things, it changes the experience you have with the neutral items, right? Like, the world will still look the same, things will still have the same properties, you know, your computer is always going to be your computer, your friends are always going to be your friends, but what you experience with them is going to change based on if you're putting your consciousness into the anchor state or if you're putting your consciousness into the Aether state. So, I mean, my action steps for me, like what I want to do is like, I want to know, what do I do after I've thought about all of this? Like, where do I take this? How can I change my life? And I think that I did know the answer to this and I was actively doing it. And I think that, like, I'm going to keep trying doing that as well. I'd like to see if this has any, like, value to you and if it's going to affect you and your decisions moving forward. But I think that, like, simultaneously, this is all that there is, what you're experiencing in the 3D tangible world. But simultaneously, there's so much more to it, and everything about all the various religions you can believe in, everything that you could believe in a higher consciousness, that's all true too. It's just, you know, based on your perception and where you want to put your consciousness. Are you going to put it in the anchor state or are you going to put it in the Aether state? And you literally get to make that choice every single moment of every single day. Alright, I don't know. Hopefully that was a good video. You can let me know in the comments. Maybe leave another mean-spirited comment like that guy, or give your 2 cents. I mean, at this point, I kind of don't care, because I'm just myself, just expressing thoughts that I've had recently. That's not going to do anything, you know? Like, you can take it and use it, you could just not watch the video. But if you did and you enjoyed it, please let me know. and leave me a like and subscribe. Thank you.